Jack.
Hey, how's the conference going?
It's going well, but it's just a lot of AI, right?
Everything, yeah, tons of AI.
Man, it's just like I wish something more refreshing to talk about. Why don't we build something with it? Like, why don't we build an AI agent ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, we could build an agent that makes videos for us.
But we will lose our jobs. Like,
Oh, yeah, that would probably put us out of the job.
yeah.
All right, well, there's so many things you could build with an Appsmith agent. Like, let's just kind of go down the features and we'll work backwards and figure out a use case.
Yeah, that's true.
What's your favorite feature about it?
I don't know, man. I've been talking to a lot of people here in the conference. Everyone's just talking about agents and just really nailing down the conversation with them because everybody's just finding everything that I say interesting. And it's cool to see it because, like, I thought everyone understands agents and I thought everyone had like the same features, but it turns out that's not the case. Like, I was talking with what girl, she said, like, when I talk about embeddability, she said, like, that's so great what you're saying because I don't need another tab. I already have 15 tabs open in my browser.
Yeah,
I don't turn off my computer when I go to sleep and I have to work next day, and the 15 tabs are there. And maybe I need to open another tab next day in the morning.
right.
And then the fact that what you're telling me is a solution that lives in every of the tabs that I have, Gmail, Salesforce. She uses Zendesk. She creates presentations on slides. Like, in every tool she has, she can use agents over there. So I think one of the cool things that I found interesting is how every other solutions that we have seen here in this conference and everyone who's talking about AI is, here's my tool, pay for this tool, use my tool, and it's again another tool. It's another app. It's another
Right.
browser tab. It's just another place to go. That, like, they're not solving the problem.
Yeah, it's so much easier to have it right there where you're working inside Salesforce or Zendesk or
Yeah.
Gmail. Like, I used to pull up two different windows and like size them side by side and copy and paste and then, get the response and then paste that back over here. And, just having it right there where you work that's got to be one of the main features to me. Um, but there's also like all of the developer focused features that the platform offers on top of that, like
Yeah.
being able to back up your apps to Git and version control and multiple environments. Like most other platforms, they started with the agent. And now it's like an afterthought of how they make it secure or have
Yeah.
version history, and audit logs. And we've started with a platform that has all of that and it's ready. It's like got all of those features and then adding the agent. To me, it's a lot more of a complete package than trying to tack on some security after you've got an agent
Yeah.
feature.
Look, what I feel is like a lot of companies are coming from a different past. We are coming from a past where we already had this solution that is very similar to agents because Appsmith, as a local platform, already connected multiple data sources.
Right.
Appsmith as a platform already provided functions for you to execute at the point you wanted. Appsmith as a platform already had workflows, so they can run at any time if you wanted to call them by a cron job or every day at night, what have you, or maybe trigger them at certain points.
Yeah.
We already had all of that. So at the end, the agent is just the top layer of an underlying set of features that we already have. And all
Yeah.
of these companies are talking about stuff that is brand new to them, like, oh, we have workflows and you can do function calling and you can make your system to take actions for you. Like, we
Right.
had that. We already had that in
Yeah.
our platform. We just needed the final layer on the agents to be able to understand
Tie it all
when
together.
to execute those functions,
Yeah.
to understand where to grab the data. But we had data sources, multiple data sources connection for years. Like, everyone
Right.
could connect their databases, they could connect their APIs, GraphQL, their SaaS products, let's say Airtable. Like, they could connect a bunch of data sources and have them on a single place. It's the same principle. But
Right.
now, instead of being a dashboard, it's an agent. So what's cool is that you can't trust Appsmith now because everything below the agent, it's been there for years. Like we're not building
Right.
anything new.
I know. I think that really helps reduce the hallucinations because
Yeah.
you're not asking it to do everything. It's like just generate the parameters that would go in this function.
Right.
And under the hood, you can see the code. You see the APIs and the SQL queries, and all of that stuff is repeatable and deterministic, right?
Yeah.
It's not probabilistic and random.
Exactly.
And the other thing with the data sources is like, with us having a platform that can connect to all of these with a single agent, you're not stuck bouncing back and forth between all these different agents. Like, sure, Salesforce has an agent built in. Notion's got one built in, right? They all have this paid upgrade so that you can get an AI feature, but then it only knows about Notion or it only knows about Salesforce, right? And with our agents, like you can pull all that stuff into one chat. You can be in Salesforce, but ask it questions about the Gmail that you just got or the ticket that's in Jira or whatever, and you're not trying to open multiple windows and copy and paste everywhere.
That's the thing, because uh, every time I use ChatGPT, for example, I open ChatGPT and I have to give it context. You are Kevin Blanco, you produce videos, you work with developers. Yeah, I can create an assistant that already knows all of that stuff, but context always have to be provided. Like the fact that you can just spin up the agent that is already in your browser tab and is contextual to everything about your company,
Right.
that's super powerful because you don't have to explain everything. Like
Yeah.
we were talking with somebody here at lunch, and we explained the fact that once you connect one data source to your agent, you don't have to refresh stuff again.
Right. Continuous context.
Continuous context, like that's so powerful because yes, you can bring your contracts from whatever tools you use to an agent, an assistant, and upload those PDFs. But what happens if the contract changes tomorrow or there is a new contract? Like all that contextuality is not updated.
It's probably better to not have the context than have it wrong.
Exactly.
Like if it's going to reference material and it sounds right because it's not a hallucination, it's like your data, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Then you're going to believe it. But when that data is outdated, then like you're still going to believe it because it sounds like it's from your company. It's looked up some internal data, and so it almost makes you more likely to miss the fact that it's wrong. But with continuous context, it could be like a web scraper and then the website changes.
Yeah.
It'll periodically scrape that and update itself. If you're monitoring a Google Drive folder and the docs get edited or a new one gets added, like it sees those changes and keeps that context updated. And in any other platform, that's either not there or it's something you got to do manual and it's extra work, right?
Yeah,
You don't want to have to stop and go sync all your data sources before you can use the AI every time.
So let me give you an example. Like, okay, probably somebody who's watching this video uh, works with customers and it has to go to meetings with customers. Let's say you're going to a meeting to prepare for a renewal. You want to renew contract, but it turns out that the customer have opened more than 3 tickets over the last 2 weeks in your system.
Yeah.
And he's complaining about a specific thing that is not working. And if that doesn't work, he's not going to renew. So probably some things can happen over there. One is you have to spend time going to whatever tool you use to control your tickets and try to find tickets for that particular user. Now imagine that on scale with all of your customers, that's going to take a lot of your time.
Yeah.
All right. Or the other part, which is the worst, is like you don't do it. You go to the meeting, you try to lock them up for a new renewal.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, hey, I've been creating tickets on your system and it looks like you didn't catch them. Like there's this couple of things that are not working. If they don't get fixed, I'm not going to renew. Now, what will happen if before you go to that meeting or prior to that meeting, you just tell an agent, I'm preparing for a meeting with this customer. Can you tell me what to come with? It will pull the tickets. It will understand that he's complaining about that thing that is not working. It's going to pull all of the backlog and the progress on those tickets from Jira,
Yeah.
and it can prepare a right answer for them and say, hey, we're working on that feature. Well, this is what we have completed, and it's going to be ready for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Like, I understand you care about those, and so you're going to look so professional because, yes, you understood the concern, Yes, you come up with a solution for them, and maybe the agent is going to say, let's propose a slower discount until the fix is ready.
Hmm.
So you look professional and you're ready for that. It's not just that you look professional, that you are professional.
Right.
Now think about that on scale. You have a huge sales team who has to do the same thing for multiple customers, and talking to the agent took them like 3 or 4 minutes.
Hmm.
That's the power of the agents over there.
Yeah. And once you have that set up, you build a specific agent for that use case and you give it the right context, with the continuous context, with it always rescanning.
Yeah.
The next time you go to use it, it's like the benefits are exponential. Yeah, the first time there's a little more setup,
Yeah.
but once that agent is designed for that task, like there's almost no work involved. It's like, okay, I'm going into this meeting, give me the prep for whatever, and it hits 10 different sources, aggregates all that data for you, and like prepares it bullet point, narrowed down to exactly what you need without having to sift through 10 different sources.
Well, that's great. But there's one thing, and during this conference, I feel like nobody's talking about that because you see everyone talking about AI and it's perfect. Yes, we understand there's hallucinations, but nobody talks about the fact that at the end, an LLM is just an LLM. It's just a tokenization system that is going to grab data and it's going to
Hmm.
prepare something useful for you based upon that context. It doesn't have a working brain like we do. And they can fail. They can give wrong answers. And
Sure.
if you can capture them and you can provide them with more knowledge about why that was incorrect or wrong,
Hmm.
then the better. Like nobody's talking about a second layer, which is an agent for your agent. How you tell your agent that that answer, specific answer that gave to certain particular user was not entirely correct.
Right.
And fine tuning is a lot of work. Like you have talked about it, right? In the different videos. Like fine tuning is really hard. You gotta have a huge amount of
Yeah. It's
data set. It takes time, but
it's easy to technically fine tune, but to actually get better results, it's like really hard to have a good data set that really improves the model.
exactly.
You can put junk in there and run a job, and technically you fine tuned it, but
Yeah.
you compare before and after, it's probably going to be worse.
That's exactly the thing. So
Yeah.
that's the other layer that we're bringing with AI agents, which is like, hey, we know agents fail. We know you want to monitor the agents.
Mhm.
We have an agent for your agent, so you can ask, like, what are the topics that people are talking the most about? You can
Right.
see every conversation, and if at some point some of the conversations were incorrect, you can just tell the Appsmith agent, hey, this is not correct. Like
Yep.
maybe it provide a discount to certain contract or user or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not stipulated in the knowledge base you provided,
Hmm.
so it's not a mistake really, but it's something that you want them to understand. So you can say,
Yeah.
hey, don't provide discounts to this type of contracts. I know it's not stipulated in the knowledge base, but hey,
Right.
this is something that you need to know. Oh, cool.
And that type of feedback is so common. Like
Yeah.
ChatGPT has it. Almost every platform that has their docs online has that at the bottom of the article. Was this helpful?
Yeah.
Thumbs up or down?
Exactly.
And like it's just an easy way to sort those into the good and the bad ones after the fact. You can do your testing ahead of time and do other things before you release it. You should still do that, but once it's in production, like you still have to test after the fact too, after it's been used by the end user and you get those responses. And it's really cool having that built into the platform.
That is correct. That is correct. Oh man, this weather is great. Really like it.
Not bad. Yeah.
Not bad. So the thing about function calling that we haven't talked about is like when you hear function calling, and probably for somebody who it's not technical like
Mhm.
us, can be a bit tricky. But at the end, like how can you summarize what function calling is for somebody who hears about agents and maybe is
Right.
watching this? Like, what is function calling? Why does it matter?
So it's also called tool use, and
Yeah, it's true.
I believe OpenAI was the first one to have it, to where you would describe a function that you had on your server or on your local or whatever, right? And the thing with OpenAI when they first released function calling is it was just a description of a function that it could run
Mhm.
and then telling it what parameters to generate,
Mhm.
But it was a little confusing, and there's this disconnect because you got your model over here on OpenAI server, and it's giving you the parameters, but the actual function is somewhere else, right? And the cool thing with Appsmith agents is our platform is the agent and the LLM and the functions and the data source and the API and everything, right? So you don't have that weird disconnect where it's called function calling, but it's really not calling the function.
Yeah.
It's giving you some parameters so you can call the function on a different server somewhere, right? And I always thought that was confusing at first, but the way our agents do it, having it right there in the same, I mean, it's just another tab over, right?
Yeah.
Like here's the chat query, and then here's the API it's calling. And it's so much more intuitive when it's all in the same platform.
Exactly.
Instead of this, like, they call it function calling, but it's really just, here's some parameters, go call your own function.
Yeah, that's true, and it's faster. Like
Yeah.
I've seen, like for example, the different examples we have created. It's freaking fast. Like it can pull from a bunch of tickets. For example, I make a search
Yeah.
just like this because, like you said, it's not going to an NCP server, sorry, or it's not going to another server API call. It's like
Right.
it's like happening over there.
I like being able to see the individual function calls during the chat.
Yes.
Like you'll ask it a question, and then you'll see, oh wait, it's running the get users query.
Yeah.
Okay, now that it knows the user ID, look, it's doing the get thread or whatever, right?
Right.
And so it's kind of like the chain of thought.
Yeah.
You know, like in reasoning models where you can watch the chain of thought, only you're getting to see the function calls and where it's getting more data. It's really cool to just watch how it operates and what it decides to do, you know?
Yeah, and one thing I really enjoy about the Appsmith AI agents experience is like it provides you stuff to do that makes sense to whatever your data structure is. Like for example, I connected to Zendesk, which is for managing tickets, and I open the browser tab. It's over there in the chat, and I'm just asking what is going on with this ticket. I'm not uploading anything. I'm not giving it like a explanation about what the ticket is. It's just like literally I open the chat next to the thing that I have in Zendesk in the same tab and say what is going on here, like just explain to me what's going on.
Yeah.
And for that particular ticket, it was a follow-up from another ticket. So it told me, hey, this is a follow-up from another ticket, so let me bring that other ticket to have more
Cool,
context
yeah.
about it. So it pulled that other ticket information and it built a case with those two tickets. So it's not just like retrieval, like getting data from an agent or from a data source is super easy. Like any LLM can do it. Like, oh yeah, this is what it does. It's gonna give you a summary of what it is. But it's not ending there. It's actually understanding, oh, in this ticket is referring to this other ticket. Let me pull that over because I needed to give it more context.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it gives me a set of actions.
Right.
You want to close the other ticket and just continue the conversation here? Because I see there are two conversations in two different tickets. Like, that's not something that ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever AI tool you use on your day-to-day is going to understand it. Like, it's very business oriented. And I was shocked about that. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah. And I told it, please close the other ticket, inform that we're closing that ticket, and we're just going to continue talking on this ticket. And it did it for me. Like, that's pretty cool.
All right, man. Well, all this talk about agents is kind of making me hungry.
Yeah.
Could go for something spicy.
Yeah. Well, you always want something spicy, man. I'm scared since the last time you gave me some of those sauces. I'm scared, but yeah.
Let's
I think
do
we
it.
should do.
Spicy challenge?
Spicy challenge. We got some people here. Let's do it.
All right, man.
All right. Awesome.